Welcome to Tuesday, and welcome to definitely winter as the polar air pours in. It is a cold, cold day, and evidently going to be some cold days. Saw some pictures from my brother-in-law in Cincinnati. It looked like they had about 8 inches of snow there, so beautiful, but not exactly what I want right now, I guess. So glad to be here today. I'm glad to share a moment with you. So, as the song says, come on in to my little world for a moment or two as we share a thought or two in this regard. I think about the word endurance. Having been an old cross country runner years ago, endurance was a necessity for the sport. I guess it's true in a whole lot of sports. You got to have endurance to keep on going when you don't feel like going anymore. You just keep on keeping on. I guess that's kind of a pattern for life, shouldn't it be? But I thought about that book about Sir Ernest Shackleton in 1914 and the effort that he and his crew made to go to the Antarctic and to cross the Antarctic. Of course, their journey was hindered, became stuck in ice. The ship was basically ruined, and all the men were stuck there. They tried to trek on, they moved, they used what they had at their disposal. And ultimately, they decided sooner or later we've got to find a way to escape. And so along the way, Shackleton and part of his company set out using a smaller boat and made their way to find rescue. And they ultimately did. But the things that they endured while they were stuck in that Antarctic, while they were stuck on the ice and the cold, the things that they did to survive, the way that they lived their lives is a testimony to exactly the book, as the book describes it, endurance. Sometimes we get up and we don't want to face what we've got to face. We don't want to deal with what we've got to deal with. Sometimes we want to just surrender, pull the covers back over our head, close our eyes. Maybe when we began to see this so-called pandemic making its way in, we thought, man, if I could just escape for a little while, just get away from it. But where do you go when it's everywhere? That's when you make the choice. That's when you determine, I will endure. I'll stand strong. I'll do whatever I need to do to survive, to get by, to do what is in front of me. The writer of the book of Hebrews, the Hebrews writer, begins that 12th chapter with that great challenge, looking at all those faithful people that are listed before him, people who have done so much. He says, it's our turn. We're going to lay aside the things that would hold us back, the weight and sin that would so easily hinder us, ensnare us, hold us back. And then the great line. He said, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Let that one sink in for a moment. What a challenge that really is. What an opportunity it really is to open our eyes to the moment in which we live and say, here is where I am, and I'm going to do the very best I can. This is my race. I think there have been a lot of people who are waiting for another race to come along, for something else to make its way there. If I could just get off of this and get on to another. It's not like changing trains and getting from one train to another. This is your life. That's more than a game show, an old game show on television. This is your life. So, as we look at where we are, maybe we don't necessarily like it. But what we have to realize is most things in life are temporary. I don't like the weather today. I don't like how cold it is. I don't like having to deal with it. There are people who like this kind of weather, I guess. I would prefer the summertime. I like the heat, but other people like the cold. But you know what? We are where we are, aren't we? I'm not going to change the weather. May talk about it, but nobody's going to do anything about it. May not change the weather, but we're going to find that we'll learn to deal with it. I'm going to confront it. I'm not going to let it overcome me. And that's where the words of this passage come in. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. We don't sit back and wait for it to pass us by. We run. We take it on. We challenge it. We meet it. And ultimately we overcome. So I guess the word for today is this: run with endurance. Be an Ernest Shackleton. Overcome the Antarctic of your day. Run with endurance this race that you're in today. You know what? It may be tough, but when it's done, when that part of it is done, and the next race or the next part of the race is beginning, you'll be glad you ran this one all out. So today, give it the best you've got. Run the race that is before you. Take it on and overcome. That's what the message is today. Thank you for sharing with me these few moments. Glad that we can be here, even if it's bitter cold. Just glad to be here and share a moment with you today. So thanks for being with me, and we'll look forward to more a little further down the road.